What is going on, guys? This is Miasin. So today we will be taking a look at the top 10 best budget decks of the current format. So decks that you can actually use to have competitive success without ruining your bank account, because I can understand when the best deck is Despia and costs like over $1,000 depending on how you build it. Might actually completely destroy your wallet, but of course there are some budget alternatives which can actually keep up with Despia and the other decks without costing your left arm. So before this video starts, make sure you like and subscribe, check me out on Twitch and Instagram, and now let's jump right into it. So in the number 10 position, we have a combo deck that is really scary, and if built correctly, you can make some disgusting boards going first and also break boards going second, and that would be Punk Zombie. So you can mill like 9 cards with a single Xiamen, which is kind of nuts if you get to mill like Banshee or like Mizuki with Uni Zombie, Doom King, Glow Bloom, etc. There are so many good mills that you can have. Fairy Tale Snow as well, and Zombie World is just overpowered this format. It's insta win against Sword Soul and Flunderies, which are both like commonly played in this format because they're like really good, and they also have a pretty decent matchup against Despia. So if you can turbo out Zombie World in this format, you definitely should be good to go. And of course, Zombie is the best deck to do that, and the fact that you can abuse some other explosive engine cards and make Needle Fiber potentially scythe your opponent is definitely something to take into consideration. And that's one of the reasons why Zombie Punk is in the top 10 best budget decks, because the Zombie engine itself is not really expensive, and the only Punk engine card that is kind of expensive is Foxy Tune, but apart from that, the deck is kind of cheap. Number 9 is a deck that literally nobody knows actually exists, but it's Code Talker. I kind of suck with the deck, so I can't really talk about it too much, but if you're good with the deck, you are going to be able to catch a lot of people off guard because it can extra link and give the opponent an Ibli that cannot crash. So as long as you have the Ibli, you can't special summon monsters, and I'm pretty sure unless you're playing Flunderies, you will not be happy against that. And of course, the Code Talker Heat Soul is absolutely no joke. You get to summon this like it's nothing. You get to draw cards, you get to, draw into your trap cards or your hand traps, whatever. So the deck definitely has a lot going for it. And of course, people don't know how to play against the deck, so if you're good with Code Talker, you're fine. Number 8 is another Cyberse deck that people kind of forgot even existed, but it's Ignister because it also benefits from the Code Talker Heat Soul. I don't know if it benefits more or less, you let me know in the comment section below, but it can also abuse the living pancake out of the Arrival Cyberse Ignister, which is a Link 6 monster unaffected by card effects and gains 1,000 attack for each material used for its Link summon. So if you use 6 different monsters, your monster is going to have 6k attacks, and it can guarantee you right now that Despia cannot out-discard. So if you summon a 6k Arrival Tower, Arrival Cyberse, you literally win the game against Despia and honestly pretty much everyone else. Next up on the list is Pure Skystriker. Now this deck is really good with Theron King Regulus, but without Regulus it's still a really good deck, Pure. You get to play a lot of hand traps, obviously. The deck is obviously insanely good going second. I mean, it's Skystriker. The deck can play a lot of powerful spell cards, and it benefits off of playing those spell cards because it can draw with Engage or steal with Widow Anchor. That's always a really good mechanic. So Skystriker is that kind of deck that will always kind of exist, and because of the fact that the only really expensive cards are the staples, you definitely should be fine with your budget if you want to play Skystriker. Now I think we're at number 5, but this deck would be Dinosaur. Again, another extremely forgotten deck, but it's really good. It gets to abuse Lost World, which can actually increase the consistency of your deck like crazy, and it's actually pretty insane against a lot of decks that really need to target monsters because Lost World has like 10 billion effects, and because of the fact that you can make Conductor Tyranno, Dolka, Lagia, etc., the deck is really good going first, and going second you break boards like there is no freaking tomorrow. So Dinosaur is always going to be that scary deck, but a deck that really requires you to play perfectly because you only have one Miscellaneous Zorus, so if you kind of miss your shot, well, you're gonna lose. Alright, Dinosaur was number 6, so number 5 is actually going to be Trevor Gate. The Trevor Gate is actually a really good deck, but it kind of got nerfed a little bit on the ban list with Verte Anaconda getting banned, so you can no longer really play branded Trevor Gate, so now you have to rely on either playing pure Trevor Gate or Trevor Gate Lyrilusk or Trevor Gate Zodiac. I think Trevor Gate Zodiac might be a little better than Trevor Gate Lyrilusk, and pure Trevor Gate is definitely a deck that you can play with trap cards or a lot of hand traps, and it actually got a second Tankia and a second Desires, which increases the consistency of your deck. And I think outside of Fractale and Access Code Talker, literally nothing is expensive in the deck. And those cards, I mean, Access Code, you probably could have borrowed from someone else because it's just a one-of. And if the only really expensive Trevor Gate monster is Fractale, I think you should be fine. Even the Link monsters aren't really expensive anymore. And the hand traps, whatever, you can replace them with trap cards, which are usually cheaper than the hand traps for some reason. But yeah, Trevor Gate is that deck that'll always kind of be good because Revolt is a really good card. It never got limited, which is kind of crazy because it's like a soul charge that summons a link monster, triggers so many effects that get you like freaking 10 searches because of the Nerval and the Ominous Omen. And if you link it off using like a Fairjet or Bear Broom, you're going to be able to draw cards or search cards and then put back your bricks or whatever. So Trevor Gate is actually a very, very good option, even if you're like not a budget and you have a lot of money. The next deck is another deck that I would actually be playing even if I had like $10 billion, which will never happen, by the way. And that deck is in Vogue Dogmatica, so very powerful deck. And Alistair is still a really annoying card. I think the engine is so cheap now, like Merkaba is worth nothing, Invocation was worth nothing, so reprints definitely help with that deck. And El Shaddai Winda is still actually really terrifying, but it has a pretty bad matchup against Flunderies because Winda is basically a Garnet against the deck. Alright, now we get into the juicy territory. Salamanderate is literally worth absolutely nothing. It actually makes no sense how insanely cheap that deck is. Literally outside of access code, everything can be obtained for like, I think less than 50 bucks or something. It's ridiculous, but the core engine is worth actually nothing. It used to be like you buy 3 structure decks with like a few cards that you get from like packs and stuff, and you can already build Salamanderate with obviously the staples, which were the most expensive cards, like Phantasme was worth like 100, Imperm, etc. But now that the hand shops are actually more affordable, you should be fine, and we are in a format where board breaking cards are also just as good as a hand shop sometimes, so that is actually something that really benefits Salamanderate. And the deck is obviously inherently good going second. Going first, it can make Dweller, which is a very good floodgate against most decks, except again Flunderies. I know I keep repeating that, but whatever. And the deck can obviously make Baguska, which this time is broken against the Flunderies, so definitely has a lot of option. The recursion game is insane, and like I said, it will not cost you your left arm. The second best deck is a deck that again will be very good even if you have $1 million or whatever, and that would be Eldritch Traps, because Cursed Outland got reprinted, I believe, so it's very cheap now. It used to be like 60 bucks or something ridiculous, and now I think it's like 5 or 10, I forgot, but very cheap compared to what it was before. Same thing with Eldritch, the Golden Lord, Skill Drain, whatever. You can play the lower rarity cards if you really want to afford the whole deck, but obviously if you're max raritying, you're kind of going to be a little screwed. But the deck is extremely good, obviously. It's like in the top 5 best decks. I think most people agree with that, and Eldritch, again, is that kind of deck that keeps dodging Banlist, and you can play Pot of Extravagance instead of Pot of Prosperity if you want to draw 2 cards. And again, that card got a reprint in the Fall of Alba structure deck, so it has a really high ceiling in case it goes first. And going second, you have like Lava Golem and stuff like that to break boards, so you should be fine. And another deck that can actually abuse Banshee with Zombie World, because you can go Scarlet, summon the Banshee from the deck, and then banish it for Zombie World in case you already have Eldritch on the field. So the Flunderies matchup actually becomes a little better post-game 1, or if you want to main deck Banshee and Zombie World, that is also a great option. Alright, the number 1 best deck is just a given. It's Flunderies. I mean, if you have literally no money, Flunderies is a joke because your extra deck can literally be 15 unutilizable cards, and you should be fine because only the main deck really matters. And every single Flunderies monster, if I recall correctly, is worth nothing at all. Ryza went from like 40 bucks to like 5 bucks or something crazy. So even the most expensive card in the deck is now super cheap. And again, only the staples are relatively expensive, but I'm going under the assumption that you already have them anyways, or that you can replace them with other budget utility cards. Yeah, Flunderies really, really good deck. Independently of your budget, this deck is still extremely good in today's metagame. It is a deck that really scares the shit out of Despia players, honestly everyone else. So that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.